Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, it's black people in Nebraska. Today, we're going to start on the content that I've been wanting to put out. This is a pretty lengthy piece of information. I'm going to read a lot of pages. I'm going to read some descriptions of individuals who are called Jacobites, who were deported out of Europe after they were dethroned. This book is called Jacobite Gleanings from State Manuscripts, Short Sketches of Jacobites, The Transportations in 745 by J. Macbeth Rogers. Okay, you're going to see the description of individuals who were rounded up and sent to other places. And what words you're going to see and you're going to hear a lot is swarthy. You'll hear people being described as black as well, but I would say the majority, you're going to hear a word, swarthy. And we're going to go over the definition of the word swarthy before we get into this book, because I don't want anybody to be guessing. I want people to have an understanding of what the word means and how the word is being used in these transcripts, okay? In these descriptions of these individuals. I don't want anybody saying, oh, well, it means this. No, it means that. Oh, the way they're using it. No, I want you to be sure on how it is being used, because I don't want people in the comments saying, oh, well, you're lying, you're misusing the word, or, you're not being honest. I'm just reading it directly from this book. I'm not going to put any words in anyone's mouths. We're going to go ahead and just read from the source. That's all we're going to do. OK, and I also want to say something as well. Listen, your opinion is not a source. OK, people get in the comment sections and they want to go off on a tangent in regards to how they feel about the information. Yo, nobody cares, man. Like, people really think they can refute information with an opinion. It just doesn't go like that. All right. And your opinion, my opinion, and everyone else's opinion is worthless. The only thing that actually has any weight is information that can be proven, facts, sources. That's the only thing we care about over here. OK, that's it. We don't care about your opinion. We don't care about you throwing a temper tantrum because you don't like the information and it goes against what you believe, and you want to get in the comment section and curse and hurl insults and act like a child. And I'm assuming these are adults that are doing this. So, and if you want to hurl racist epithets, then you're no better than the people that you don't like. You know what I mean? So if you want to be the so-called superior race or whatever, have some class. All right. So how about you be the class race? All right. Because a lot of you guys, and I'm talking about everybody, but a good amount of you guys get in the comment section and you just go on a full onslaught, a racial onslaught. And it's like, and you just don't do nothing but expose yourself for who you are. So don't get mad at me, get mad at the sources. So let's go ahead and get started on swarthy. Let's go ahead and get a definition of what the word means and how it is described and used when describing people. All right, we have definitions here. Let's go ahead and read. Swartz, okay, black. Swarthy, all right. Tawny, dark. As black as coal or as ink. Okay, all of these things are described as swarthy. All right, we have the word Swartz up here, but after that, you have swarthy. And then you see under swarthy, these are things that are related to it. Tawny, dark, as black as coal, ink. Black man, this is the second definition of Swartz and or swarthy, a black man. Negro, I'm not going to say that word. Blackie, black woman, negress. In the other highlighted parts, the black one or, the devil. Black people would be called the devils back in the way to kind of take the humanity away from them. And under these definitions, we have a more of a clerical definition under here. Swart, Old English, swart, black. OK, check it out. Black, dark, of night, clouds, also figurative, wicked, infamous, from Proto-Germanic Schwartz. OK, source also Old Frisian, Old Saxon, and Middle Dutch swart. Dutch Zwart, Old Norse Swart. I'm going to read the highlighted part. The true Germanic word surviving in continental languages, but dispatched in English by black, a skin color of persons from late 14C. All right. And then you can also look at the hands under there, and you will see the descriptions of the hands and how they're described. So I just wanted to get this information out the way before we started reading the information in regards to the Jacobites, because you're going to see Swarthy a lot. And I don't want people to be confused as to what Swarthy means, all right, or how it's being used, all right. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to start in chapter 4 of this book, and this is going to lead into the descriptions of the prisoners that are being deported from these European places, these European nations, and sent to places like Barbados, Jamaica, West Indies, other places where they are more dark populations. So let's go ahead and get started. Capture of ship with transported rebels, list and description of them and their fate. A mishap befell an expedition with 225 rebel prisoners, of whom 75 had engaged as soldiers. Mr. Smith, contractor, thus related it. Cateston Streets, 22nd October, 1747. Sir, the loss of one of my ships with 150 rebels, the veteran John Rickey, master, bound for Antigua, which was taken by the French privateer Paul Mars and carried into Martinico, and of 75 sent with East India expedition, which I was providing for, has been some disappointment to me. I have sent His Grace's letter to the governor of Leeward Islands to proclaim them of the French governor by 3 different conveyances. I have also sent a list and exact description to my agents in all our colonies in the West Indies, that they may be more easily detected in case they are taken in any homeward bound Martinico ship. A copy is enclosed for admiralty, least any should escape to France or Scotland. So to make sure they get to where they're going instead of going back, they have description of these individuals. All the rest are safe arrived at Barbados, Jamaica, and Virginia. I desire to know when I am to have the care of those who remain at Carlisle, York, Southwark, and elsewhere. In a postscript is added something as to attempt to find a northwest passage. The ships we sent out in the search of the northwest passage are returned without having completed the discovery, but have brought us a greater probability than ever. A description follows of the 150 rebels which Mr. Smith took at Lincoln, York, and Lancaster prisons in October 1745. And you also must remember, a lot of these people are political prisoners, meaning that they were dethroned and that they're being deported, and all their stuff were being claimed by other people, including their identities. The name, age, profession, county, and stature of each, with remarks, were given in every case. Of the 150, 15 were women, and 3 of those Cameroons from Lochaber. Number 145 was Barbara O'Connell, 19, Perthshire, and she was thus described: red hair, clever. Number 143, Margaret Dykes, 22, no occupation, Lickthal. Lickthal is singled out for the distinction of being well-looking. Number 57, Isabel Hamilton, 50, comes from Musselburgh. Fortunately, all of them could sew, spin, and knit, useful qualifications for female colonists. An exact list and description of 150 rebel prisoners shipped at Liverpool on the board, the veteran. John Rickey, master for the Leeward Islands, which was taken near Antigua the 28th of June last by Diamond privateer Paul Marcel, commander, and carried into Martinico the 30th of June 1747. Now, as I read some of these names in the description, you'll see Swarthy, you'll see Black, and you'll see other things. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and I don't want to read all of them, but I'm going to read the ones that are, say, Black and Swarthy to show you what I'm talking about. Number 2, William Bell, black, curled hair, strong made. Let's go ahead and go to number 4, Alex Catinal. I believe that's what the name is. Black. Okay, he's described as a black individual, ruddy and healthy. All right, let's go to number 5, Dougal Campbell, brown, which could be, there's a chance he could be black. All right, let's go to number John Campbell, Swarthy. All right, Swarthy. We know what Swarthy means. That means that he's described as being a black individual. All right, let's go to number 11, Andrew Edwards, black, well-made, strong. Okay, there's some people on here that's brown. Let's go ahead and see number 14, John Grant. I believe he's saying he is black. All right, that is description of the individual. The individuals who are brown could also be black. They could just be brown, black people. Let's go to, I believe that is number 16, John Hinkelschiff, black, pock picketer. All right, let's go to number 19, black, well made. All right, now a lot of this stuff I can't see, guys. I'll be honest, because the editor that I'm using, it doesn't let me zero in that well, and this stuff is small. So if you look at the descriptions, the remarks, you'll see who's black, who's brown, who's swarthy, and there's a lot of people in here that are brown, black, or swarthy. Now, we went over what swarthy means. We went over it, and it means what? A black person, a Negro. All right, so these Jacobites, a good amount of them, not saying all of them, but a great amount of them were black. In a book called The Ancient Modern Britons, there were black Highlanders, there were white Highlanders, there were black Danes or white Danes, there were black Picts, there were white Picts. Just like there were white tribes of people, there were black tribes of people in these European nations. And thus I am showing you the evidence of it being so. So let's go ahead and go on to the other list. All right. All right. This is the other part of the list. All right. I'm gonna pick out some of the ones that I see that are black and swarthy. Like I said, I can't. The print is so small. You guys will probably be able to see it better than I can. But if you go into the description, the remarks of these individuals, you have their what they are, what they do, like laborers. You have the county they're from. You have their stature, meaning their height. And then you have the remarks, meaning the description of what they look like, basically their race. So right off the top, Donald M. Gilley, he is black, short-necked, black, short-necked. Alan McDougall, black, all right, well-made, 5'5". Seems sensible. You see that? Mr. McDougall, he is black, well-made. He seems like a sensible guy, just like there's sensible people in all races. But they just made sure to put that there. I don't know why, but they did that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to James. I believe that's Nelson. He's a laborer. He's black, swarthy. All right, swarthy. And you know what swarthy means? We already said that. Swarthy, slender. All right. We're going to go to Daniel Ross, sandy hair, swarthy. All right, well made. We have, let's see, I believe that's James Lackey. He is black. All right, black. And then the person under that is described as swarthy. All right. All right, let's go. Let's go down the way down to, is that 60? Elisa? I think that's 60. Number 60. Black. And ruddy as well. Described as black and ruddy. All right. So, like I said, if you look at the descriptions of these people, not all of them are described as swarthy. Not all of them are described as ruddy, but or black. But there are a good amount of those who are described as so. There's even people who are described as dark complexion, well made. I think that's James in 65. Dark complexion, well made. So what are we supposed to make of this? Well, any sensible person would say there were black people aboard these ships coming from these European nations and being sent to other areas where there are other black people. Let's go ahead and continue. All right, YouTube family. So we're going to start at the number 86, I believe, Andrew Linger. He is dark complexion, well made. He is healthy. All right. We have John Troop, he is dark, and he is sickly. All right. Number 91, he is described as dark, sickly. Number 96, he's described as swarthy. All right. Described as swarthy. We have individuals described as sandy complexion. You know, they could be black people as well. It could be. But we're going to focus on the ones that say swarthy are just straight up black or dark complexion. We have one gentleman, 104, black. All right. Black. Let's see here. We got some people being described as nut brown. John Bosey, I believe that is nut brown. Very well could be a black man being described as nut brown. All right. Let's see here. We got one gentleman, I believe it's one George Haynes or something like that. He's described as a literal black man. Black man. So, like I said, it's just more descriptions of black people I see on this boat being transported from these European nations to other places where there are other black people. Now, one would say, well, there's a good chance that the majority of people are on this boat are going to be black. Because they're heading to the West Indies, where they're majority black people, or Jamaica, where they're majority black people. Definitely at this time, because these places they're going are European colonies in dark countries. So there's a good chance that all of these people are black, but I'm not going to say that, make that assumption. I'm just going to speak on what I know in the description. And this is the end of the list. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of this chapter just to add some context to what we just finished reading. Now, I'm going to say that I made a mistake saying that maybe all these people were black. I'm not going to say all they were black. I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to say that the people were described as swarthy, black, dark complexion, definitely were black. All right. So let's go ahead and get started on this. The list is taken from 3 different gals, Lincoln, York, and Lancaster. And it's likely that the first 46 prisoners whose names are all alphabetically arranged will come from Lincoln, the other names from York and Lancaster being inserted without any regard to sequence. Of those 135 men, 18 hailed from Perthshire, 20 from Inverness, 25 from Aberdeen, 19 from England, and 1 from Ireland. As to the trades represented, 55 were laborers, 11 servants, 20 weavers, 4 herdsmen, 2 gentlemen, Vicks, number 105, John Mackenzie, 22, Rothshire, well-made, genteel, and number 11, John Ostler, 20, Lincoln, brown hair, genteel. There was an Edinburgh writer, George Ham, age 30, marked as a black man. All right. He's a black man whose color would no doubt suit the West Indies. All right. So not all these people were going to the West Indies. So there's a good chance that not all of them were black, but the ones who were marked as dark complexion, brown, ruddy, swarthy, definitely black men. One man, 104, a laborer, is noted as having his own hair. A wig was hardly to be expected from one of his class or his age. He was only 32. Then there was a fiddler from Inverness of about 16 years old and 5.5 feet in height, who is happily characterized as sprightly. The following other occupations represented: sailor, watchmaker, carpenter, woodsmith, peddler, sallow chandler, hosing, maltler, shoemaker, baker, bookbinder, flax dresser, nail maker, glover, gardener, cook, tailor, husbandman, plowboy, cowherd, cordwainer, and last but not least, 2 Berbers. Number 92, Walter Menzies, would probably be Walter Menzies. 5 of them were pock-picketed, and not one of them was 6 feet in height. As many as 60 were under 20 years of age. The island of Martinique, into which the prisoners were carried, was in French possession, though taken from the French 15 years later by Admiral Rodney, to whom its Governor-General de la Touche capitulated. It was the chief of all the Leeward Islands, owned by the French, and was the residence of the ruler of the French settlements in the West Indies. It was quite typical of the other islands in its character and products. Its exports were sugar, cotton, cocoa, aloes, coffee, cassia, etc. And the element was more adapted to blacks than whites. Hold up. And the climate was more adapted to blacks than whites. The island was recently the scene of a terrible, disastrous volcanic disturbance, which came suddenly with appalling and devastating destruction to life and property. In 1747, it was a sally port for French privateers in the West Indian seas, just as the island of Bourbon, was to French pirates in the Indian Ocean. As the articles of the 1762 capitulation make no reference to the 150 prisoners in course of transportation, it is to be presumed that they had previously quitted the island. The captured vessel was duly claimed from the French in January 1748, but they promptly declined to hand over its or the prisoners to the British government. They were then asked to include the latter in the next cartel for the exchange of prisoners, and again they refused to enter into any engagement, implying the return of the unfortunate to English servitude. What the fate of these prisoners, these twice taken captives, ultimately was, does not transpire from the official papers. Let us hope they achieve their liberty and return to their native land in happier times. Very, very interesting. So we learned a lot here in this video. I'm glad you guys are still here with me. If you're still here with me, man, I appreciate you. A couple bombs were dropped, and I'm sorry if I messed up some words. I can't read every single one because I couldn't understand every single one of them because the words are extremely small. But what we learned was that on these Jacobite prisoners, they were political prisoners, they were pockpicketers. A lot of them were being sent to other nations as the West Indies, and a lot of the individuals described as dark, black complexion, swarthy, were indeed black men, because it says it in the last part of this chapter that the color that the black men would better be suited in the West Indies. Well, were they all black? There's a possibility, but probably not. They were prisoners and indentured servants being sent to other places. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this information. If you don't like it, hey, let me know in the comment section. But the information is here. The sources are here. If you're somebody who's upset, listen, don't argue with me. Argue with the facts. Argue with the sources. Argue with the author in this book, because I'm just reading what he put out. So, hey, it's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, it's Black People Nebraska. I'm out. Peace.